But then, how do we write a script for like 2 years in somebody's life, right? And this is where we tell the audience up front. We basically tell you a couple of things. One is that all of the major events in this person's life happen to this person, right? So if you experience getting transferred from a detention center to another one in the middle of the night, real, that definitely happened. If for 60 days you're walking through the desert, not really knowing like when you're gonna get water next, that also definitely happened. But little environmental details, like on day 5 it rained a little. That is where we've only put in things that help you understand that time is passing and that could possibly happen during that period of time. And so the text actually looks a little bit like this. So when it actually is a series of opening events, we have like scripted text that definitely happens, and then where it just says E here, you can kind of ignore that it says E, but this basically means that there's additional text that will be generated in between these 2 blocks, and then we are going to start you off at this sort of mini cutscene again. And we've written a couple of these, actually that's not true. We've written let's say 20 cutscenes on average per storyline, and then everything in between is generated through procedural text. So here are just a sample of text that we wrote and Playmatics helped us write for weather in the desert, and then you in the desert. And so any combination of this type of text could show up, and all of the text is fact-checked to the best of our ability to the environment that we know it's in. So which desert, we know that, even if you might not know that. And what it does is, we basically built this system that is not complicated, but essentially keeps track of between different cutscenes what sentences are eligible, and then it will randomly pick, based on different tags, a combination of those sentences to display for you together. So at any time there might be 3 sentences, 3 to 4, and it knows not to reuse them. It also knows, and what's important about this is at the very left you see that column of 4s. It knows because I have told it to be eligible or ineligible in between certain scenes. And so certain bits of text you'll never see later on in the story, but other bits of text you might see a lot earlier in the story because I want to stress something. And then there are little details spread throughout this stuff that is actual direct quotes and details that we got from those affidavits. So the one that I've highlighted here is that you can't carry your son today, a man traveling with you helps you carry him, that happened, right? And so the more specific we are, the more we know that it definitely happened, and the more vague we are, the more that it's sort of like a background detail. And what's really interesting too, writing this text, is that you can't say things that are definitive. So you can't say it was really hot today. You have to say it's hotter today, right? Everything's just slightly relative to the day before. And because we also wanted to give that sense that time is passing, but it's not about any particular day. Let's see. This is basically an example of things that are eligible between multiple scenes, and then scenes that are only eligible after certain scenes. And so something that happens with you and your lawyer has to happen based on our reporting and based on some of the knowledge we have. Some of it has to happen within 2 weeks of a major event happening. And because somebody experienced, basically 0 communications until then. So we had to also build in different ways for the system to be able to ingest our text as timed information in that capacity.